Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday, October 23rd. And no, I am not Elias. He is traveling to go give a keynote in Jersey. So, he's got to go say hello to his mother and have some time and put on a good presentation. So, Ashley and I are going to hopefully keep this train moving and just start the day off with some energy. So, I see we have a guest on the line. And I want to have Brianna. I don't know that I can call you Chicken Mom, but you know what your name is. I see that you're driving, but if you can let any of the guests on the line know what to expect from this room, set the first set of tone for us.
Oh, so what to expect from us in this room? Support, collaboration, good vibe. Ashley and Blessing are going to bring it. And I mean, it's like I need this coaching 3 times a week. It's what gets me going, hypes me up, gets me in the mood to get on the phones. So you're definitely in a place of positivity and collaboration, and just the vibes are the vibes.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bree. Yes, the vibes are the vibes. And in true keep it moving fashion, we have to have someone bring it out on the field. So I am going to turn it over to Jeff. Jeff, you always have inspirational words to set the tone. So bringing us out onto the field so that we can start this day, I'm going to turn it right over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Blessing. I appreciate it. Honestly, I didn't, I've been missing the last, week and a half. I had to go to New Jersey of all places, and no offense against New Jersey. It was actually beautiful. But had to go to New Jersey, and then I just was in Arizona. So I've actually missed these calls for the last, I think I was on last Monday for a little bit. And then I've been off these calls, and honestly, I can really feel me not being in my routine and not being on these calls. So, I mean, message to everyone out there, regardless of what you have going on personally, professionally. I mean, calls like this and this community that we have here really, make this a staple of your day, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, because it just sets you on the best path for the day, for the week, gets my day started, gets me excited, gets me pumped up. I'm super excited for you, Blessing and Ashley, to do this. I love seeing all the faces on here. So turn your camera on if you can, and just, attack the day, have fun. It's beautiful. I love this time of year. It's 80 degrees outside during the day, at least where I live. And I keep the windows open and, just beautiful. Get out there like Christina is, and get out in the sun and walk a little bit, and just attack the day, and just know what no pun intended, a blessing it is to have this call 3 days a week, and just completely take advantage of it. I mean, this is something that is not offered, or if it is offered other places, you got to pay for it. So honestly, take advantage of it. I tell everybody this, and it's just a great way to start your day. So let's start this day on a good foot. And I'm looking forward to Blessing and Ashley bringing it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Jeff. And, it is definitely something where when you don't start your day in the way that sets you up, because we know that once we leave our house, business is going to come, things are going to happen. So like starting with what we can control and really having a strong start is really the only way to guarantee success, and that we're going to make it through the day getting to what we need. And when we are off a little bit, when we're feeling a little off, these rooms, you never know what you're going to say or hear that's going to be the thing that sets you up. So I highly encourage you to be part of these sessions, to plug in. Obviously, if you can't be on camera, still be in the room. But if you can, I will challenge you all at some point when you're at your desk to hide the non-video participants so that you actually see how many people are actually participating. It's a very different view, but I'm not going to harp on that. And what we're going to do, because it is Wednesday, we're going to talk about the market, and we usually turn that over to our lending friends. So I'm going to turn it over to Ashley. We have put together a presentation about the market. So Ashley, over to you.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your morning with us. So we're going to go over a market update to kind of get a beat on what is happening in today's market. That way you can use it with your clients. So what we thought was happening. September 18th, the Fed rate cut equals lower mortgage rates, right? That's what the news told us. That's what a lot of reels on TikTok told us. But is that actually the case? So what is really happening? As you can see here, why mortgage rates are going up despite the Fed's interest rate cut. So the federal funds rate, that's the rate that was cut on September 18th, that rate doesn't actually directly influence mortgage rates. It can a little bit, it can influence it kind of non-directly, but what it really influences is short-term rates. So short-term rates means car loans, credit card payments, bank loans, personal loans, business loans, personal loans. If you go get a money market CD or a money market account in your bank and it's paying you a certain rate, that is what the federal funds rate actually directly influences. It's the rate that banks lend back and forth overnight among themselves. And so it doesn't actually directly influence mortgage rates. So, okay, if we know now that this is not the key factor to mortgage rates, then what does directly affect mortgage rates? How do we know what to pay attention to? So what influences mortgage rates? The market. And the market is a fancy, non-fancy word for a bunch of investors that are legally betting on what's going to happen with the economy. So if the economy is showing strength, people will usually buy stocks. If it is showing softening and people are scared, they call it running to safety. They run to bonds. And when people run to bonds, it makes we don't have to pay them as much interest because now we have more people buying those bonds. It makes interest rates go down. You can kind of think about it like a seller credit, how if you have a bunch of buyers, you don't have to give them a seller credit. If you've got a bunch of buyers in bonds, you don't have to pay them as much interest. So interest rates will start coming down if people are scared, the economy's not looking good. That's what influences interest rates to come down. So the market is basically betting and saying, well, what do we think is going to happen? Okay, so what are they looking at? What can we kind of be prepared for to get a gauge on what's happening? There are a lot of economic reports the market will look at every day, and not even just reports. Sometimes it's anecdotal things like stories that are going on the news or the Federal Reserve saying something that can influence the market. On Thursday, the jobs claim report comes out. So the jobs claim report basically, if a lot of people are claiming unemployment, it's going to show weakening in the jobs market. So people will run to safety, to bonds, interest rates come down. If the jobs claims show that not a lot of people are claiming for unemployment, then they're going to go, oh my gosh, the economy is really strong. Let's go to stocks instead, and it will make interest rates stay the same, or it could make it tilt up a little bit. And then on Friday at 7 a.m., we have consumer sentiment, which basically gauges, okay, we have all these reports, but how are people really feeling out there? Are they feeling like the economy is stressed, or are they feeling like we're in a really good place? So again, if the economy shows softening, it could mean lower interest rates. So that's really, as far as mortgage rates, that's what we're looking for. Now, despite what interest rates are doing, national numbers from the, oh my gosh, I forget what it was from. This is from somewhere. It's somewhere important. It's from one of your guys' websites. So housing snapshot, pending home sales, August 2024 shows that month over month on a national level, we are still up 0.6% month over month. So people are still buying houses. The market is still busy. I think people are probably still feeding off of that rate cut that was on the news. People are coming out, they're shopping. I know I'm feeling it. But as we know, the Bay Area is not the same as the national market. It has its little niches in little cities, and one city can be really slow and not moving, while the next city has 25 offers on each house. And so this is why I think this call is so important, because we really can take advantage of the mind share and all share what's going on in different areas where we're shopping right now. Because again, last weekend could be different than this weekend. And so that's why in a few minutes, we're going to turn it over to you guys. And I'm really hoping you guys can share what's happening in your market where you're shopping in different cities and what you're experiencing in live time, opposed to where we've been in weeks before. So that's all I have about the market. Does anybody have any questions?
I do, Ashley. Good
Sure.
morning.
Hi. Good morning.
So, the Fed rate then, what do we call it, right? You had mentioned.
The Federal Reserve rate. Mhm.
Yeah, that. So once Jerome Powell goes on, he says we're going to cut rates. They cut credit card, personal loans. Do those go up as well? Or they just go down? Once he says they're cutting, they're cutting. Boom.
Once they
done.
cut the short-term rate, they're cutting. That will
Okay.
directly affect those. But what it'll also affect is, let's say you've had a money market CD or a money market account and it's been at 5%. And now you know, okay, the Fed has been saying they're going to keep cutting. So my CD in my bank account is probably going to keep going down. I got to do something with this. Am I a type of person that's going to put it in the stock market? I don't know. Sometimes those people with the CDs, they're probably going to want to find somewhere else where they can put it long term, like the 10-year bond. And that 10-year bond will affect mortgage rates. So as interest rates keep coming down that they're cutting, that's kind of how it can directly or indirectly, I should say, affect mortgage rates, is because if those people carrying money in the bank now decide to go to safety in a bond longer term, then that creates more buyers for us for the bonds, which will bring the interest rates down.
Okay, good. I don't know if you're the person to answer this question, but let's say for somebody who has a car payment, most of the times I get new home buyers or first-time home buyers, excuse me, saying, hey, I want to buy a house and whatever, but I just bought a car like 6 months ago or 3 months ago or a year from now. And their payment is like $800, $900 a month. Being that the Fed fund rates were cut, when would we advise them? Like, oh, maybe you can refinance that.
And honestly, anytime you can check, but you might want to wait until after November, December, see if they cut a little bit more to make it make sense. But it's going to depend on what they locked their rate at and what their credit score was when they locked it, and if their credit score has improved. So if they get with somebody to help improve their credit, that alone without interest rates coming down can really affect their interest rate overall. And then combined with interest rates coming down as they continue to cut, because there is a 90% chance, the market's betting on it, and they still have a 90% chance that they're going to cut during the next Fed meeting. And I believe there's still a 70% chance that they're going to cut one more time after that. Right now, they're holding at about 0.25 basis points. So it's just a combination. It could be different per person. What was their credit score? What is it now? And how much better is the rate now? And then you just do a comparison. But you could start telling people now because we know they're headed down.
Yeah, it's just another way for a buyer to have some savings or maybe an effort to qualify for a bigger home. You know what I'm saying? Because their monthly mortgage, their monthly car note is like 800, 900 for you. It's just astronomical sometimes.
Correct.
It just
And
blows my mind.
every
How-
$50 can be $10,000 to $15,000 in pre-approval. And so even if they can get that payment down $50 to $100, that really can make a big difference.
Oh,
If
that's
they're
great.
in that borderline between
Mhm.
cities or between houses, that can make a game-changing difference for them.
Can you say that again? For every $15 to $100, what did you say?
For every $50 in monthly payment. So every $50, you're looking at $10,000 to $15,000 in buying power.
Ah, there we
So
go.
if you have a $600 payment, you're losing $120,000 right off the bat.
Mhm.
So if you can get
So
that
this is-
down, you can squeeze a little bit more pre-approval amount in there.
Okay. Well, thank you. That was
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you.
And this is why, like, having a great lending partner or looking at the market overall, and I see a couple of hands and I'll get to you guys too. It's really critical that we know that there are more factors that go into cuts and being able to make the savings. Like when someone says rates are going down, having that knowledge of like what actually is being affected makes us the experts in in this conversation. Before we get to Otis and Sam, I wanted to also say the reason why Wednesdays are going to be even more critical as far as joining these calls is that we know that we're all right in the swing of the holidays, right? What do most other agents do right now? What do most other lenders do? We're starting to slow down, and I say we, but they are starting to slow down, and not us. We actually have a small window of runway to really make sure that we're staying on top of what's happening in the economy, in the market, in our communities, so that we can speak to it and show that we've been working and not waiting until January. So thank you, Ashley, for that. Great questions, Ophelia. Going over to you, Otis.
That was a great tie-in right there to also know your market and know that this is the time where you can still get those seller credits. So depending on how soon they just bought the car, if they really want to be in the car or a home, that could be a difference. We had a situation where we had to go give the car back. That could be something that's thought of. Or let's say, you have that debt of a car about $8,000 to $10,000. If you can secure $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 in credit, buy that debt to ratio and come down and that debt, and then you'll be in a better situation. So there's always ways to look at what's strong right now, what ways you can show value, and I think that's the best value that you can get right now as interest rates continue to climb, and then even if they don't drop, entertain those people that have all those rebuttals. Like, you should really be practicing rebuttals from all of those things, not just the typical, oh yeah, yeah, I can get it. I can see when you wait. Yeah, if you wait, that means you and 1,000 other people are going to be waiting. So do you want to wait with your competition, or do you want to be smart enough to attack this now, refinance later, use some of these credit? Well, hey, Vernon, I know you're only a couple hundred down. Let's see if this seller is willing to give us $10,000 to $15,000, despite that, or getting with a lender. Like I remember with the money store, Christina was like one of the first people out to get ahead of it, like earlier last year, where she was giving that 1% rate. I know Mike and Fairway, they're doing a 1% towards closing costs. So all these things that you can use in your arsenal, you should really be focusing on that when someone says they're not ready right now.
Perfect.
That's
Thank you.
such a good point. Just yesterday, I have a contract in Martinez, to your point, 703 purchase price, 40, a full 6% back in credits. Full 6%. And it's all timing, because I don't think that would happen last week, right? It just like, okay, the news and the market and the rates has to be right at the right time. And you've got to have like a beat on what's happening in the market. And if you can pull the trigger right at the right time, you can get those seller credits. And pro tip, on a VA loan, you can pay off personal debt with a seller credit. So if they've got a $10,000 car note and that's holding them back from a higher pre-approval, you can negotiate a seller credit, pay that car off, and then get them a higher pre-approval.
Boom. All right. Sam, let's go over to you. And Otis, if you can lower your hand for me. I don't know how to do it yet. Go ahead, Sam.
Thanks. Hey, everybody. Ashley, I just wanted to ask you, since you said you were feeling it, that buyers are still active in the market. As a lender, where are you seeing that happen? Because my market is mostly the peninsula, so like San Mateo, even San Francisco too. So I've seen it happen in places like Fremont, Belmont, if it's the right house at a low price. But where are you seeing it as a lender, would you say?
A lot all over the Bay. Oakland, I've had a lot of traction in Oakland lately. I hadn't had any for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. And then now I had 4 or 5 in contract from Oakland. And then Martinez, Oakley, Antioch, Pittsburgh, all through the East Bay. I shouldn't say overall, but on average, there's less competition than if you get closer to like the San Francisco Bay Area. And because there's less competition, if you do find buyers that want to start a home or are willing to drive, that is a easier, not always easy, but easier place to get them into contract. Obviously, it is all timing. One weekend can be different from another. But that's what I'm seeing so far. Other people see different things though. Everybody's got their own vantage points. That's what I love about this call so much.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Ashley.
Christina, go ahead.
Hey guys. Yeah, one thing like what Ashley was saying with rate buy downs. So we always think of, especially in this rate environment, using the lender credit to buy down your rate, using a seller credit to buy down your rate. But what I just did, we're closing today, is a client, instead of using my lender credit to buy down their interest rate, they are putting it towards closing costs. So similar to what Otis was talking about, all lenders can do this. It's just in our current rate environment, clients have opted to use it to lower your interest rate because of payment comfortability, because these rates have been ugly. But my client, she was like, you know what? I'm okay with taking a higher rate because I know I'm going to refinance and I want to come less money out of pocket. So she used, I ended up getting her, it was about almost $7,000, and she used it towards her closing costs. So that 2.5% approximately of closing cost, she used it towards that. So really understand that you can be creative with these credits. It really just depends on the client's situation. You know, are they payment sensitive? Some clients, they can't see beyond looking at refinancing. And I totally get it. You know, they're scared. They're first-time home buyers. So and to them, it's like, that's my payment. It's going to be for 30 years. Well, it's for 30 years until you refinance though. So how many people really end up keeping that original mortgage? Maybe our grandparents did because, you know, they were scared to refinance. So just really having that conversation and having them looking at the numbers, because now maybe if you're in a market that you cannot get a seller credit and you know, okay, shoot, these clients, like they don't have enough money. We're competing with multiple offers. We cannot get a seller credit. All right, well, lender, what can we do with your lender credit to use it towards closing costs? We're going to be higher on payment. And if your ratios have room to go higher in your ratios with a higher rate, let's do that so that you get the home knowing that I can't promise you that you're going to refinance within 6 months. Now, I just did a refinance with clients that purchased in Oakland 6 months ago, and I was able to refinance them, but we don't know what that market's going to be in 6 months. So I tell everyone, look at it from a standpoint, maybe in the next 12 months. You know, can you handle this payment for the next 12 months? Hopefully sooner I can refinance you, or maybe I can't refinance you for another 1.5 years, but it's not, it's temporary really. It's not going to be for 30 years. So just going over that, explaining it to them, and really explaining it in a way too that they understand, explaining things. I try to like remind myself to speak slowly when I'm talking to clients, and as if I was explaining to my kids how this payment's going to work, how a refinance is going to work. Because we know clients are always super stressed and they're anxious and they're like, oh my God. So they're only probably hearing maybe about 40 to 50% of what you're really saying.
And Christina, you make a good point when you're explaining that. And thank you for the insight there, because we know that we talk about this all the time. We're looking at the market. We are really trying to dive into comfortability, PITI, interest rate. So we know this language. When we're talking to our clients, most of the time, this is the first time that they're hearing it, and they're only hearing the headlines and the news, and they need us to be as clear as possible. And one thing that you said that I really wanted to highlight is it's not only their payment comfortability, it's really what are they comfortable? Most of us assume that with a credit, they want to buy down the interest rate, but maybe they just don't want to give up all of their savings right now and they want to hold on to some of that money. So we can never assume what a client is, you know, what they're comfortable with. So we have to ask. So thank you so much for, you know, bringing that point up. And this is right in line with some of the questions I wanted to pose to the group is, you know, where are we seeing hot markets? Where are we seeing markets that have slowed down? Otis, I know you throw in the group that Richmond has definitely been booming. So tell me a little bit about what you're seeing in the markets that you serve. Are they up? Are they down? And I do need a little bit of audience participation. So you guys can throw your hands up so that we can talk about the areas and really get a Bay Area specific insight. Otis, go ahead. I know I'm putting you on the spot there.
I love it though. Yeah, you got to stay on your toes. Richmond is up 35%. I just looked up the recent weather report yesterday. I've been putting Jacob on it. So I think that's a good thing for everybody to really, you know, keep in mind. 15th, 16th, usually, you know, it's prime and ready for you up on YouTube to take a look. So knowing that market out there pretty well, because it's been booming all year long. Like literally like my last 4 or 5 been out there listings and buying. And it's crazy to really know, you know, the freeway split, which means, you know, this side of the freeway, we're talking about multi-million-dollar properties. This one, you're looking in a good bunch of fixers, 400, 500, you know, I would say maybe like 500 now with all the older homes are like, they're usually like 1 or 2%, 2%ers. So they don't really sell as much. They're older people. The houses are super ran down. They bought them like back in the 80s, 70s, 60s. So the house has been paid off. So the flip money is there. So you'll see a lot of them now being flipped and like super nice. And it's kind of a trend that's coming all up to 80, really what I've seen. Even out here in Vallejo, you're seeing a lot of homes doing the same thing, same situation. I kind of say like Vallejo market and the Richmond market kind of embody each other, except that, you know, out here in Vallejo, unless you over here in Hidden Brook, you ain't gonna find, you know, them 800,000, 900, you know, almost a mil. It's usually same thing, about 300 to 600, you know, 600 out here, 700 to give you something really, really nice. So just knowing those markets, you know, knowing the DOMs out here in Solano County, things are just typically going to go for 15 to 30 as your hot ones. Then your semi, you know, turnkeys are going to be about 45 to 90 in even 100 days. So knowing that out here is prime for getting credits. Richmond, on the other hand, you know, the 17% increase right now from the 19 up to the 17 just from last month to this month means they're still just going, you know. So being faster on the draw out there, I would say, you know, have all your buyers pre-approved. Like if you're still out there showing homes and you just got a BBR signed, you know, that ain't hitting it. You got to make sure that, you know, they're prime and ready, because, you know, instantly right now, even out here in Solano County, me and Jacob got beat out on one, and in Richmond and Oakland, we got beat out on properties that were 100-something days on the market. Those houses are starting to go now because you're getting credits or you're getting price reductions like 40,000, 50,000, 60,000. So if you don't know these things, you're not really doing yourself, you know, any help, or your clients really, because, all right, Jeff, you know, well, yeah, let's take this week to get our pre-approval. And, you know, in this week, you've already had your first, second, and third options go. So now I got to go back to the drawing board, show a bunch of houses, be ready, be prepared, and know what you're talking about. Like, you know, get off these calls and get on one with a partner or your accountability partner or your mentor or whoever, and say, hey, let's role play some of these conversations I'm going to have with the listing agent. Because what's going to separate you? You know, I mean, yeah, we're on a great team and you can use the team's name, but what are you as an individual agent? How are you going to hold your part for our team and our rep? So I think having all these things done are really key. So this is the time where you're not, you know, super flying out for showings and doing stuff. Like I tell Jacob, get your ass down there and go get smarter. Go figure out some of these things you need to figure out. I'm still here for you whenever you need to. He comes out to me every day out Fairfield. I'll be going out to meet him a little bit later in Oakland. So, you know, get accountability partner and really start working on your shit.
Well, thank you, Otis, for that high level overview of everything from Richmond to Fairfield, basically. And like you said, the weather report, the Bay East weather report comes out on the 15th, just so that you can see what the market is looking like temperature wise, gauges, and being able to read that. So thank you for sharing that. Vernon, let's go over to you too. What are you seeing
Good morning, team. This is good stuff. Ashley and Blessing, it's good to see you driving the car this morning. As Ashley said, you know, it's different strokes for different markets. In the Vallejo market, from my experience, is pretty hot right now. I've had a few listings that have flown off the shelf in less than 7 to 10 days and going multiple thousands over asking. I know Ophelia and V had the same experience. I'm doing a lot of work in Oakland right now, and in certain pockets of Oakland, I'm seeing properties that are sitting on the market beyond the 40, 45 days. But then at the same time, you know, we would generally think that, oh man, we've got opportunities for negotiations, we've got opportunities to negotiate discounts and so forth. And then suddenly, to Otis's point, the property's off the market and it went for slightly over asking, right? So it's just based on the pocket. I would encourage everyone to be really in tune to what's going on in the different markets throughout the Bay Area. So for me, I know that West Oakland is a real soft market right now. Specifically, I'm actively engaged in looking for a property for a buyer of mine in West Oakland, and I have a property in mind I'm thinking about, just had a $50K price reduction, and there's an opportunity for some negotiations there, because in that pocket in Oakland, the market is soft, right? So stay abreast to what's happening, because from city to city, location to location, there's a different pulse for that particular location. And if we really want to be ahead of the curve, to Otis's point, being informed, being educated, being confident in what your due diligence is providing for you, and then taking that confidence into negotiations with listing agents are how offers are getting accepted and how offers are getting won. So education, information, and then, combine that with confidence in self. We come to these spaces for collective learning. We come to these spaces to gather some nuggets to take and apply it into our work. And if we do that effectively and efficiently, we will continue to win. That's all I got.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Vernon. What's happening over in Sacramento? Where's my Sacramento peeps? Princess, I see you front and center in your gorgeous egg chair as always. The sun isn't quite sunning, but I can tell it's warm. So tell us, what are you seeing there you go. Thank you. Tell us, what are you seeing?
Thus far, I'm always seeing the area of like Carmichael, Citrus Heights, always putting up new listings in that area. I am starting to see some stuff that is been sitting, starting to come off the market. I haven't written any offers lately as far as like with anything that my clients want to jump on. But I am seeing some stuff within like the low 400s, 500 range starting to actually go off the shelves as soon as it hits market. So it is still pretty active, but I am starting it to kind of see it kind of level out and get it a little bit slow. So.
Okay. And also just for insight, Pittsburgh has been a hot spot. I'm gonna just let you guys know, like, new listings in Pittsburgh, because it's right between Bay Point and Antioch. It's got literally like the best of, I won't say the best of both worlds, but it's this pocket of community. There's a lot of development that's happening. Any homes that come on the market that first weekend of open house have anywhere from 10 to 25 people coming through for open houses. And especially if it's under that 550,000 mark, it's a single family with the 2 to 3 bedroom. The competition is quite steep. So it's one of those markets where it's been real quiet for a while, and then all of a sudden the listings come up and beautifully renovated flips that are actually like done correctly, getting, I won't say tons of offers, but getting multiple offers, waiting to hear back right now for one of my clients. So let's see who else. Samiri, I'm going to put you on the spot. What are you seeing out in Brentwood by you? She was here. Did I just lose her? Okay. What other areas? Who else has insight on their trends? No one seeing anything else? Are we writing offers? What's the concerns that you're hearing your consumers say?
Hello, you guys hear me?
I can hear you, Chris. Let's go.
I'm seeing homes sitting a little bit longer in Sacramento. A while back, homes are like $500,000 or less have just been flying, but now I'm seeing them sitting, and I noticed that more than half of the homes I've been showing have been vacant for some reason. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's just the market or whatnot, but I'm seeing homes sitting a little bit longer, but I'm seeing more incentives as well. The new home build here, Tri-Point Homes, they're giving 6% seller credit back. So I actually, when I show home resales in $500,000, $600,000 range, I'll let them know there's some new homes down the street. Let's go check it out. I actually did that the other day, and we're finding similar homes, but brand new, not needing any work, giving 6% seller credit for like the same price point. So there are new home builders that want to move inventory this year, and I think the market's stable. But once people start getting back on board and jumping in, it's going to go up again. So check out those new homes, your sales reps, see what incentives they have, because they don't just tell it to the public, but they'll tell it to buyers agents that talk to them. So Tri-Point Homes, 6% seller credit, huge on a $600,000 home. That's 36 grand you could use to a rate buy down. They even said you could use up to half of it to get a price down. So there's a lot of different options and incentives out there, and you could have it balanced for your clients to benefit them. Just because there's a lag right now doesn't mean there's not any good deals. There are out there, but you got to give it a sense of urgency to go out there and actually start taking a look at it. One of my main objectives is like, what's going to happen with the elections? And I just tell them, I tell them that no matter who wins whoever becomes president, the economy is going to do what the economy does. And over the last 8 presidencies, only 2008 was the only election year where the market went down. So you could kind of tell them that stat to give them confidence that don't worry about who wins the election. Just make your move and buy now when you're ready.
Thank you, Chris. That's always good
You're welcome.
insight, because if they're waiting, what exactly are they waiting for? If it's for those credits, how long is it going to take before those make it to them? So that, you know, the objection of the election or politics and any of that, I think we discussed that last week, where, you know, everyone's going to have it, but how is that actually going to impact you? That's a really good point, that you're just kind of bypassing and say, like, where are you right now? Are you ready now? Let's move now. Ashley, I see your hand. Go ahead.
That is a great point, Chris. And I've been reading a lot of news articles lately. And one of the news articles that I saw, one of the headlines is that buyers are waiting for Kamala Harris's $25,000. And so you've got people in that camp. And then you have other people that are saying that they are waiting because they think that overall the interest rates will eventually go down better if Trump wins. And so you've got people that are just kind of stopping, but just exactly to your point, there's only been one 10-year period of time where housing has gone down. So while everybody's busy waiting for $25,000 or for interest rates to go down, they're losing equity potential in their homes. Statistically, they're losing equity potential in their homes. If they were to look back at the last 6 decades, they'll be sitting around and they could be losing $10, $20, $40,000 while they're sitting around waiting for this $25,000 that we don't even know if it's going to come. And if it does come, hypothetically, how long is it going to take? Is it a bill that has to be passed? Is it something that's going to be 2, 3, 4 years from now? There's so many unknowns. And if you're going to wait until that happens, how much equity potential are you really losing? When I bought my house in 2012, I sold it 5 years later and I made $130,000. Are you going to wait for 5 years for $25,000? Or are you going to possibly be making that by being on the train? The train's going. Statistically, over the last 6 decades, the train's going. You got to get on the train, even if it's your starter house. And then if something like that happens, great, but you've made so much more in your equity already by then anyways.
Thank you, Ashley, for that share. All right, guys, like, this market conversation has definitely, taken us through certain areas, and we've seen, we've talked about what's happening. One thing that's interesting, Stephanie, let's go over to you before I switch over a bit.
Hi guys, just wanted to share real quick. So I am seeing a lot of seller credits, and I recently just closed a deal with a high producing agent, and we were going in on certain properties, and she's like, okay, we can ask for seller credit here, but we can't ask for it over here. And so we're kind of strategizing with the buyer, and I was like, well, how are you determining like where you have room to do this and not? And she said, well, I pull the property profile on the subject property, and I look at what the seller's existing lien is or original lien is. So when I see that, I look at when they bought it and how much they paid for it, right? How much is the deed on the property? So if they bought it a long time ago, obviously their balance is lower, right? Or maybe they bought it for, half of what it's worth now. Then we know we have that the seller has a big, has a lot of equity coming, right? And then maybe sometimes in those situations, you have a little bit more wiggle room to ask for more money. Because if we're looking at a seller who just bought the property 2 years ago, and there's a very small amount of equity they have, they're not going to want to give seller credits, right? So every transaction was different. I was like, wow, that's pretty strategic. Like I'm a lender. I don't think about that side of it for the seller, but I thought that was really good information for agents. So just wanted to share that. And then to touch on what Christina and Ashley were talking about, the seller credits. So I typically don't advise people to buy down the interest rate unless they're extremely, extremely payment sensitive. Because again, we're going to be able to refinance soon, right? So I just closed one in Stockton where I pre-approved her for a certain amount. She had a lot of debt. Okay. Well, we went in, we asked for the seller credit. We used the seller credit to pay off her closing costs. She had money. She had some money, and we used her money to pay off, because it wasn't a VA loan. We used her money to pay off all her debt. Okay. So that freed up like $400,000 or $400 a month for her. And so when I was explaining it to her, like, look, you take your money, you pay off all this debt, you're saving $400 a month, and now I can take your sales price from XYZ up here. So I was able to boost her up to like $500,000, and she ended up buying a higher price home because of that. She took her money, paid off her debt, It freed up a lot more room in her budget, and then we used the seller credit to cover her closing costs, and we used down payment assistance, so she ended up coming out of pocket very minimal. So just wanted to share.
Those are some
Got it.
good pro tips for sure. So just making sure that I heard that checking the property profile for the existing lien and kind of doing some extrapolating to see where their equity might lie is a good indicator of how to ask for credits. Smart. Thank you for that, Stephanie. Anyone else have anything else on their area, what they're seeing, any concerns or consumer concerns at this point? No? Okay, let's switch over. I know we're almost right at the end of the call, but I do want to share one thing. I'm gonna see if I can get this queued up real quick. No audio because that's not my life. Every time I try, it doesn't work. So I am wondering if anyone has been to the veranda in Concord and has seen that the owners of the veranda have just purchased the streets of Brentwood. Now, if you're not in Brentwood, this may not mean anything to you, but here's some insight of a project. This purchase, the veranda over in Concord is basically, it's a lifestyle hangout. It's got all of the top shops, it's got restaurants, it's got all of this community surrounded by shopping. And what happens when you bring people together to hang out? They spend money. And when they spend money, they, congregate, and it's good for the economy. So this company taking over the streets of Brentwood, I'm super excited about because the streets have been great, but it just needs a little bit more life. And with them bringing this, bringing it to Brentwood, it just means that there's going to be a lot more people looking at an already desirable area. So extrapolating out, I'm thinking that homes are going to get a little bit more competitive as we're going to have to be more competitive when we write offers. We're going to see more offers on the same home, if I'm saying that correctly. And in preparation for that, I am working to become a little bit more knowledgeable about the Brentwood community. So when I saw this, I was wondering, has anyone else seen any projects or community projects, infrastructure, things that are coming to your local area or places that you want to serve that you think that might impact housing and bring a little bit more attention to your area? Has anyone seen anything like that? Any new parks, any new housing projects, events that are happening that really are a big deal in the community? Is it just me? Am I the only one about this?
Over here in Rancho Cordova in Sacramento, they're building this. It's been like 15 years in the works, and it finally just broke ground on this new area called Braden. It's huge. It's right off. It's right between Rancho Cordova and El Dorado Hills, Folsom, off of Grant Line Road. I don't know if people are familiar with Grant Line Road. It's one of the main roads that run all the way across from 99 all the way down up to El Dorado Hills, throughout the backside of Elk Grove and Wilton. So the feds just gave 30 million to Sacramento to open that expressway up. So all that area within that expressway is in the path of development. They just broke ground in Braden. So what I do is a lot of times when I work with a lot of people that's coming from the Bay Area to Sacramento. They're totally unfamiliar with the area. So it's good to just break down like facts like that and let them know where the money's going for the infrastructure and development. Because when you get into an area that's developing and growing, you have more long-term potential to reap a lot more equity than the area that's already established. I tell people like this area right here where that I'm promoting is what Elk Grove was 20 years ago. So it's good to just be on point on the funding and the development, what things are buying. I let people know, Amazon just bought a lot here, this and that, and it gets them excited because they're like, your shit, you're the fucking pro in your neighborhood. So just stay up on game and speak that knowledge to let people be comfortable, so that the more you build a rapport that way and get those brownie points, they're going to listen to you when you tell them how to write their offer. They're going to listen to you when you say, do this, do that. But when you're not speaking and giving nothing of value, they're kind of questioning what you're worth. So, just keep that in mind, people.
Great point. Great point. And you took it like that was the thing, is that the more we know, the more knowledgeable, the more experts we are. Gabrielle, let's go over to you.
So one area I noticed is developing like a lot is Oakley. There are 2 huge shopping centers that they're building. My aunt bought a house out there in 2016 and there was like nothing for miles and miles. And she purchased the house for under 500,000 and now it's worth like probably around 850. And I do believe that by building all of that, it's gonna help with her equity and all that stuff. So I don't live in Oakley anymore, but I still may work in Oakley. And I think it's great that because I did live there and I used to have to drive 20-30 minutes just to get to like a Safeway or a Target. So
For sure. Anytime that they bring shopping,
yeah.
it keeps you in your area too. And not in your area like that, but like you don't have to drive. And we know that a lot of people will factor in their commute. And if they have to drive 20 minutes for the grocery, that's not really convenient if they don't have it. So that is a great point that, you know, with the shopping centers and the big Safeway that they're breaking ground, you know, you can come out, let's go door knock, Gabrielle, let's go.
Yeah, my friends' parents are worried about like the traffic that it's gonna bring though, because their roads are small but other than that, I think it's great.
There's always a pro and a con, right?
Mhm.
But let's focus on the upside. There's a Safeway that's coming to Oakley. It's great.
Yeah.
Vernon,
Are you in Oakley?
I'm in Antioch Brentwood, so just on the other side.
Oh, okay.
So let me know when
Okay.
you're this way.
Okay, I will.
And a
Thank you.
Costco coming to Brentwood.
Oh, that's right, too.
The Costco
Yeah.
coming to Brentwood, for Antioch residents, they hate it because everyone who went to it's split. The
Antioch
Costco's-
one, yeah.
Wait, so Antioch residents don't like that there's going to be a Brentwood Costco?
They don't, because that the Brentwood Costco takes all of their tax revenue.
Oh,
So
yeah.
now
I could see the
they're-
city
yeah.
of, yeah.
So
Because
it's great for
I'd rather
Brentwood.
spend my money in Brentwood than Antioch,
And that's
just because I'm a
that's the
resident.
flow,
So.
that's the community, that's the flow of the dollar in the
Yeah.
community. If you keep it in the community, it builds up. But that is a polarizing
Yeah.
conversation that we are not going to have right now.
Yeah. But I'm super excited about the streets too. And I mean, I love the veranda, and the streets of Brentwood is nice, but you have merchants kind of coming and going. There's some empty spots. I mean, it could be definitely, I think, significantly better if we can attract the right, if they can attract the right, clients and tenants to come in there and
Sure.
set it up in a way that is more of a destination. I think in these kind of communities, all communities, you need that destination where it's not just a stop in, pick something up and leave. It's hey, we're going here. We're going to go shopping. We're going to go to dinner. We're going to, do a little shopping over here. And you spend 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours there. And, Concord has that with the veranda. Of course, Walnut Creek downtown has that. So many of our other cities in the East Bay have that. But out here, it's getting to be that way, more infrastructure. But Chris's point was fabulous. The more you know about those types of things, and especially the streets of Brentwood, that one's a little undercover. The Costco coming, most people know about that, but if you're new to the area, you don't. And to Gabrielle's point, the Safeway coming to Oakley, that is something that's being talked about. But again, could be a little under the radar if you're not from out here and you're looking to move out here. All those types of things and the stuff that's happening downtown in all of our communities in the East Contra Costa County are definitely selling points that are going to make you more of the area expert. And you don't even have to live here. I mean,
Exactly.
if you're just like Ashley was saying, she's getting more deals in Oakland. You could be in Vallejo or Oakland or Tri-Valley or whatever, but just know the areas that you're selling in and taking buyers to, and they're you can be an expert in these different areas and be a huge value.
Well, thank you for that, Jeff. And I'm going to go over to Vernon. And here's the thing, with all of the information that we just shared, all of these projects, make a reel. make a reel about everything that you're hearing and put it out there as the community expert. And that's going to go further. You never know who's watching you in a different community, who's been considering Oakley or Pittsburgh or Vallejo. So make that reel and put yourself out there. So Vernon, over to you. Last point on this subject before we start to wrap up.
Oh, I love this. I love this conversation. This is good stuff. I'm just going to speak in terms of the city of Vallejo. Contrary to what the media projects, Vallejo is one of those Bay Area cities that is on its comeback. And so what I mean by that is about 2016, City Council approved a 25-year general plan. And a part of that 25-year general plan is to really revitalize the Mare Island. So we've got 50 acres of undeveloped land on the north end of Mare Island. And if you've been paying attention to what's been going on in Vallejo throughout the summer and into the fall, festivals like crazy, concerts on the water, the ferries now transitioning over to a Mare Island stop. They're starting to develop those 50 acres. We've got new developments by Tri-Point Homes off of Columbus Parkway. We've got a big super Costco. Now we have a regular Costco, but now they've began to break ground on a super Costco where it's mixed use off of Admiral Callahan. So we've got the super Costco, parks and housing in this space. The 25-year general plan is actually being executed. Do we have issues that are still unresolved? Absolutely, but economics is going to contribute to public safety. Economics is going to contribute to our education system. But if your fingers on the pulse in Vallejo, yes, it's one of the last affordable Bay Area real estate markets, but that is quickly changing as economics and economic development projects are sprouting up all over the city. So keeping your finger on the pulse, being able to articulate what is coming for a home buyer who's buying now as economic development becomes more robust, the automatic implication is that the appreciation in their homes are going to just shoot through the roof. So good stuff. Just wanted to contribute that. V is on the rise. So if you are having clients who are looking for affordable market in the Bay Area, that's truly one of the last Bay Area cities that has some affordability, Vallejo, keep Vallejo at the top of your list.
Very good, very good. And the thing is, like you said, those economics are going to drive up homeowners' equity. So they're going to be all for it, especially keeping them up to date. So it's not just for our buyers, for any of our past clients, anyone, if we're door knocking or farming, we can let them know if they're not aware of what's happening. Again, it's all about making sure that we are the local expert, we are the market experts, so that anything they need real estate related, we've got them in that way. So the great session, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm going to go over for key takeaways, and Gabrielle, I'm going to go to you, and I'm going to pick someone else who's off camera, but Gabrielle, go ahead and give us one key takeaway from the call today.
Well, unfortunately, I missed half of it because it was not in my Google calendar. So I didn't get on here until like 20 minutes ago, but
you jumped in, so it's fine.
I did.
Yeah.
I mean, my key takeaway, I don't know.
You want me to come back to you?
Yes.
Okay. Morgan or Chris Edwards, I see you guys there. Hands up for a key takeaway. Morgan, Chris, Morgan or Chris?
Hi.
Hi, Morgan. Tell me what you took away.
Key takeaway was I really liked the information about checking to see how much a seller has or like left on their payment before like offering or asking for seller credits, because then you know how much wiggle room you kind of have or what they're looking, you have a better idea of what they're looking for.
That was definitely a pro tip. So thank you, Stephanie, for sharing that for sure. Joanne, I'm going to go over to you for our last key takeaway.
Hey there. Okay, so I love your point about the streets of Brentwood being taken over by the owners of the Veranda. I think that's going to be huge. So I think that's a great thing to keep in mind is look at the developments, not just in housing, but in shopping in different neighborhoods. And that really does make a big difference in home values over time. So that was an awesome point.
Wonderful. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, we are right at time. I truly thank you all for all your participation. And you know that these rooms only flow the way that they can because of everyone showing up and being present. So thank you so much for all your contributions. And in true Keep It Moving fashion, please keep it moving toward your dreams, goals, and visions, and go out and crush the day. Have a fabulous one. Thank you all.
Great job, Blessing. Great job,
Peace.
Ashley.
Bye.